Welcome to Three Cops Talk. On this podcast, three active duty police officers discuss behind-the-scenes stories and real-life accounts of what it's like to be a cop. Every episode, you'll get an inside look at the challenges and dangers they face on a daily basis, as well as the triumphs and inspirational moments that make it all worth it. If you want to understand more about the men and women who put their lives on the line for us every day, then this is the show for you. And now your hosts, Chris, Scott, and Sean.
I got a story.
Wait, whoa. Okay.
Stand
by.
You guys all know that I'm in high school now, right? I'm an SRO.
Yeah, you're back in high school.
Back in high school.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. Right.
We actually had a teacher come up to one of our SROs, not me, and say that these girls have an OnlyFans page. And I'm like, oh my God, you know.
An OnlyFans page?
Is that what it's called?
I'm asking. I don't know.
Is that OnlyFans? Yeah. Whatever those
okay.
porn sites are on Instagram or whatever. I think they're OnlyFans.
Here we go.
Whatever. Well, anyway, so everybody's up in arms and blah, 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 or whatever. So long story short, it turns out that through the SROs that I work with, it turns out these girls are 18, so they're allowed to do it. And all they're doing is taking pictures of their feet. All they're doing, and they're like, you want to see? I'm like, no. But all they're doing, guess how much they're making a week?
Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah.
$500
A week?
Pictures of their feet.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Who needs the dark web? It's just right out here, man.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just like,
Right.
You used to be underground if you liked feet. You're like, I'm a weirdo. I like feet.
And we
I'm
can't
gonna
get
keep it to
1,000 downloads. Make sure I put my feet up there.
Right. 500. Like, you don't want
Get
to see
your
our
feet up in front of that camera. Let's see what happens.
Right.
This might be a game changer.
No, absolutely not.
You can get our bio at the website as well as pictures of Chris's feet in different outdoor venues
without black socks.
Right.
That'll cost you $100.
Yeah, you're supposed to shave the hair up the toe knuckle, Chris. You're supposed to do that. That's part of the protocol here.
But you have to film that. You have to film it.
Right. It'll be on YouTube later.
But it's commensurate with everything else that's going on in the world. And please welcome today's guest, Sergeant Jason Lewis.
What got me into law enforcement? I was young. I was a teenager. I was 16 years old. I didn't have much going on in my life, and my mom found an article in the newspaper about the Explorer program. So she showed it to me. She took me down to the station. I signed up, and I fell in love with it, and it became my life. I was going on ride-alongs all the time. I promoted, you could say, up to the highest rank in the Explorer program, and I really loved it. And graduated high school, and shortly thereafter, at 19 years old, I was in the academy. So
nice.
Ever since then, yeah, I've loved this career, and I still love it just as much today. The public is the one that voted these people in. The public is the one that made this decision. When I go out on calls and it's a call where I cannot remove the disturbing party from the scene because the laws have been changed, or I know they'll be right back, I explain everything to the people on scene, and they're blown away. Every single time they're blown away that these are the laws, that this is what's happening.
Right.
And that's just part of the process of getting minds to change, because it doesn't matter to them until it matters to them, until it's
happening to you, right? Yeah,
I voted for who? Because they did what?
Right. And then it becomes real. And so it's the adapting is adapting everything we do, being better communicators. And like I said, understanding the public duty doctrine, understanding case law, reading your state laws. Cops will blow past changes in the law and not retain it to memory. And when you're doing that with things like use of force, man, that you're responsible for all of that, whether you committed it to memory or not. And we cannot afford, especially today with the proliferation of video cameras, we cannot afford to just blow past it and not pay attention. Important that officers understand that today you are on camera everywhere you go, everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's your body camera that's on. It doesn't matter if there's a citizen holding a video camera in your face. There's also security cameras on houses. There's ATM machines. Cameras are absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not that when we see officers not intervening, that it's because they're wanting to be a part of something wrong. I believe most of the time it's because they haven't prepared themselves mentally for actually intervening in a real scenario, right? Because it's really easy. It's really easy to hypothetically say, yes, we need to intervene when we see somebody using excessive force, and I certainly will do that. But then it's out of your mind, because how often do you see excessive force? I mean, it's
honestly rarely.
Except just use of force alone is exceptionally rare in an officer's career, right? In the timeline, it's below 1% for virtually every agency, well below for police contacts. Throw in there excessive use of force, actually seeing your partner actually, going hands on with somebody when they shouldn't be. That's a shock in your mind. It can be a shock in your mind, and if you haven't prepared for that, it's going to take you a few seconds to react. And that few seconds could be the difference between you getting wrapped up in that situation and being prosecuted and sued and losing your job and public shaming.
And then the shock of the incident, like, and let's say now we've moved forward like we have with scenario-based training, but the scenario-based training was always geared towards taking control of the role player that was the subject that was out of control, or the subject that was doing something that we needed to deal with. And we never threw into the scenario like, all right, let's go ahead. Until the very end of my career back in Illinois, did we start doing scenario-based training where we're going to have an officer acting out of control. And it was really hard to get officers to want to do that as role players. Like, you have to do it with people that are like, okay, whatever. So we had to we used interns as actors to say, all right, you need to be, and this is the script. You have to rehearse this. You have to be prepared. You have to do this. And we have to watch officers be prepared to do this. And you watch guys going, it's bullshit, man. I ain't going to do it. But then what you started to see was guys out on the street would do the same exact thing, because at least in their mind, they've done the dance steps. They've walked through and say, hey, this is an expectation. And I was rewarded for doing this. But prior to that, for probably close to 18, 19 years of us training, we never did anything where the officer could be perceived as wrong, and where we had an obligation to maybe step in and do something with that. So to Jason's point, the problem is that if you've never seen it, you've never pictured it in your mind's eye, you never can execute. And when you see it, you're almost like shocked, like, holy shit, I'm rolled up in the middle of
what's
this
happening?
Now.
Yeah.
What's going on now? And I have to protect him. I have to protect myself. I'm thinking about my family. Now I'm a rat. Now I'm all of these things that go on, or what's happening. And then how is the organization going to handle it to protect the reputation of the city and the product that they have? They don't want their city to burn because this is what's going on.
Yeah. So as a sergeant, I believe you have to make a duty to intervene culturally acceptable on your shift, right? So you have to train them on it regularly to keep it fresh in their mind. And you have to make it, listen, I'm no better than anybody else. I can lose my temper just like anybody else can lose their temper. Sure. If you see me starting to lose my temper, I want you to step in. I want you to put your hand on my shoulder and tell me, hey, let me try to talk to him. Right.
I wanted to ask you about, when how the no cash bail has started to have an impact, or has had an impact out there on you, because for me here in Illinois, this is a thing that's looming coming here at the first of the year. And it's the big buzz amongst law enforcement here in Illinois. And what I'm getting now is there's a lot more press about it, and you're hearing more and more about it. And there's more stuff on the news and more articles and more things on the law enforcement websites and the court sites. And I'm getting a lot of questions from family members and friends, and, hey, what is this all about? And what's really going to happen? And you start telling people, and the looks on their face, they're like, oh my gosh, these crimes, these are going to be things that people are just going to get, you're going to bring them in and they're going to turn around and release them with no bond. And I said, yeah. And it's scary that not a lot of people are really informed about this, or maybe that it's the way that it's been pushed through so quickly and behind closed doors. I don't think people really realize the impact that this is going to have.
Yeah, you have to remember, though, too, that those are the people that you hang out with and that right? And there's a whole subset of other people that are super excited about it and think it's going to be this great thing. Right. And, to me, I live where I work is a very supportive area, a very conservative area of California. And we have a lot of support, a lot of law enforcement support here. And so we've seen the impact of that, but it hasn't been as great as when I drive into Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
When I drive into Los Angeles, it's unbelievable. It's another world. The homelessness that you see all over, the crime, it's just truly unbelievable. So to me, it's not only about those laws that you have, but it's where you live and what is the community like. Because yeah, it's affected us, but not nearly as bad as cities like LA and San Francisco.
Tell us a little bit about where that came from and what you're doing and kind of what that's all about. What you're working on.
Well, the briefing room is right along the lines of what we're talking about. That is that nobody is talking about putting more money into training, right? Everyone, all the legislature, they want to put more rules on us, more regulation, as if the reason we're seeing bad videos is because of bad intentions. But to me, I don't see malicious intent in a lot of these things. Some of them, yes, but most of them, it's not malicious intent. It's poor training.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one is putting more money into our training, we have to figure out innovative ways to train our officers to prepare them for the hyper scrutiny that they're under today. And so that's what the briefing room is about. The briefing room is an on-demand subscription service that makes it easy for supervisors to provide briefing training during briefing or roll call, right? So if during a typical roll call, everybody comes into the room, the supervisor, finds out talks to everybody about what happened in the previous shift, and then should be conducting some level of training.
Yeah.
But that's hard to do. You have to prepare that. You have to know what to do. You have to know how to train people. You have to understand adult learning methods. So the briefing room makes it easy. The briefing room provides 90-second training clips on one simple topic, plus a key points worksheet. So a supervisor has a worksheet that lets them ask questions to their officers and engage them in discussion. Yeah. And it's all based on Bloom's taxonomy. So it takes them from a hierarchy of thinking down to critical thinking. And it really gets us talking about things that we don't talk about a lot, including case law. So we cover a lot of case law, things that nobody teaches us about. So if you want to find me, you can go to TheBreifingRoom.com. And on TheBreifingRoom.com, we have some free videos. We have free videos for supervisors for reducing use of force incidents on your shift, and free videos for administrators on reducing the liability that comes along with use of force incidents. And you can also find me on LinkedIn at Jason Lewis, Louis. I put a lot of free training on there. The main point is we have to find innovative ways to train our people within the budgets that we have. And that's what I want to do. I want to build exemplary peace officers, and just trying to do it one day at a time.
Ever wanted to ask a police officer a question? Mail your questions to 3copstalk@gmail.com. That's the number 3, copstalk@gmail.com, and we'll answer them on the show. Follow us on Instagram at 3copstalk. That's the number 3, copstalk. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.
John, I just want to go on record that no one in California wants any pictures of Chris's feet.
Damn it.